That's right, baby. We are back on a Saturday. What'd you think, Rhino? The new intro, the temporary new intro, for as long as the Dragon campaign lasts. I don't know what "last" means. Dragon joining some of our friends here in the intro. What'd you think?
I'm in. I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
What's up, Eric? What's going on the West Coast? You left us. You're gone.
Finally back home in California, baby. Yeah, but had a wonderful time in Philadelphia. I'll tell you, what a great vacation. What a great time.
Yeah. What's up, everybody who's joining us now on a Saturday afternoon to hang out, talk some toys, and whatever else comes up. We got a huge, massive show. Obviously, we have to talk about Baethir. The Mythic Legion's Dragon campaign has begun, so we're definitely going to delve into that.
What's that?
We'll talk about it. Not too many people are really discussing it right now, so we'll kind of get into it, figure out what's going on there. Also, we have a very special guest, Adam, aka Highly Articulated, is here to talk to us about the brand new Kickstarter, also running for the month of March. Space Zombies from Mars. Have you seen this?
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool
pretty
stuff.
Good, man. Looking pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
Loving the loadout.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. It's funny that just 1 week ago was Zolocon, and that was a freaking whirlwind. Before we came on, Eric was telling us about some of his travels. Eric flew in from California to check out Zolocon. Luckily, the three of us got to go out with Amber and my son Chase for lunch on Saturday. Eric checked out the con on Saturday, but did a bunch of other stuff. Saw the Frank Frazetta Museum, hung out with G, the Orkins, Anthony, saw Philly. It wasn't my trip. It was yours, Eric. Do you have any takeaways you wanted to share with everybody?
Oh man, yeah, just what a beautiful city, and I thought it was very accommodating, very easy to get around. I didn't have any problems getting anywhere. Very thankful that I rented a car, because Ubers would have cost me a small mint to get around to all the places that I did go to. But yeah, very happy that like I said, and thankful that I got to visit, some people at their homes and to hang out with friends. Alongside of, outside of just going to Zolocon for the first time, which I thought was an amazing event. I thought they threw a very cool show. Obviously, it wasn't at the Fuge, which is kind of nostalgic to a lot of, longtime Zolocon attendees. But very, very happy that I've finally, kind of checked that con off the bucket list of cons that I've always wanted to attend. And, was happy to do it with a lot of friends around me and familiar faces. It was just a great time. Got to see a lot of really cool historical sites, a lot of great museums, including the Frazetta Museum, which I highly recommend. If people have not been to it, definitely go. It's totally worth it. Really happy to support some vendors down at Zolocon, including Anthony's son Tony, which we were super stoked to support his new line of small accessories and action figure toys that he made with his dad. It was a really good time, man. I just, like I said, got to see so many cool things. The Liberty Bell, the Rocky statue, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Reading Terminal Market. I mean, so many cool places down there. It's just amazing. Lots of great history. It was just an amazing time. I just had a great time.
Yeah, it was. So it was, like I said, it was a whirlwind. I wish we could have gotten even more time to hang out. But probably my favorite time was going out to lunch. The five of us.
Yeah.
And everybody out there, you missed a great lunch. And Chase was on fire.
Yeah.
With all kinds of different movies.
Yeah. He ran the table, bro. He was on it. It was great.
Bro, he was so happy afterwards when we're walking back to the hotel. He was like, "Daddy, I felt like I was leading that conversation very well. I was like the dungeon master of lunch."
Yes, he was. He was.
You know what? While we're chatting here for a little bit, while we're getting going, why don't we bring out our guest? highly articulated. Adam, what's going on, brother?
Not too much. Did you guys see Four Horsemen are doing this dragon? Have you guys seen this? Have you heard about
it's
I'm not familiar. Do tell.
Pretty wild.
Is that Mystic Legions?
Yeah. Mystic Legends.
Is that the
Mystic
same thing as
Legends. I'm
Mystic
sorry,
Law?
Mystic Legends. That's right.
It's pretty new. You might not have heard of it, but yeah. Other than that, running a Kickstarter. But yeah, that's good to be here. Very happy.
That's gotta be
hanging out with you guys.
Gotta be what's this?
Oh, that was for Sig.
Oh,
He
okay.
asked me what I was smoking on.
It's not good for you, man. It's not good for
I
you.
know.
Neither is this coffee
Exactly.
or that Corona I'm about to drink.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Zolocon was awesome. There was tons of great vendors. The new venue, I think positives and negatives. Positives, it was much bigger, so you could have more vendors. There was more light, so it was easier to see stuff. Although
Yes.
I don't know if you heard this or you experienced it. The lights on the show floor and in the hotel actually went off a couple of times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
It was actually good timing. I was at the concession area, and Sherry from the studio happened to be there. So we were just chatting while we're waiting, like for our little orders or whatever. And we're talking about the venue, and I was saying, I was like, I like it because it's great because the lighting is better and you can see everything a lot more. And literally, as soon as I said that, whoosh, everything went out.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was up in my room the first time the lights went out. I went, oh shit, party on. The fucking whole room went dark. I'm like, what in the hell's going on? And then the second time I was on the show floor when the lights went out. Yeah, it was great.
One of my other favorite things was this. I brought this along to show you guys. Turn it on here. There we go. This, so I'm bigging myself over here, is Carter.
Nice,
Yeah.
bro.
Carter.
Came out outstanding.
That's Carter.
Yeah.
So for those that don't recall or never heard, this is the a character that my son Chase designed for his Halloween costume this year, and then my wife crafted fabricated the costume for him based on his design. I showed it to some of my friends, and my good buddy Anthony Hausiel, the man behind the Toy Forge, the king of Prussia, as it were, took it upon himself to take that design, took it to Thiago Conti, who sculpted the head and the staff here. Anthony kind of like project managed it. He printed the head and the staff. I'm going to get to that in a second, Curtis. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to have some brand new news that no one's ever heard of before. And I painted up the head and staff based on Chase's specifications. Took the body and the robes from Arazak from the Poxus Wave, the hands from Samir, and of course the light up staff from Carver Customs. And Anthony was good enough to actually have this figure, little custom, at his table. So Chase's design is now not just a Halloween costume, but now a custom figure, and was actually shown at a toy show. So that was really cool. Chase was totally jazzed about it.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So, all right, back to this. Curtis's $1.99 super chat. So, again, I was very excited about the whole drag. Actually, you know what? Might as well get into it. Do you guys mind if we just hop in here and get going?
Man, let's do it.
It's the elephant in the room, or the dragon in the room.
It's the dragon in the room. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Dragon in the room. So, of course, I think everybody here knows, but if anybody watches this on the replay or stops in and is not aware, Four Horsemen Studios, the Mythic Legion's Dragon Bayathir, a crowdfund campaign for a giant 3.5 foot articulated, incredibly detailed dragon, is going on right now. It's a massive piece. It's an expensive piece. Campaign just started last night. And this is like something that's sort of like legendary at this point. I've been waiting for this dragon for like 5 years, for more than 5 years. The studio has been saying that they wanted to make one. A lot of the fans, hundreds of fans are like, yes, please make one, please make one, please make one. Now they're making it. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's probably the most beautiful action figure thing that I've ever seen. And I'm not sure for me that there's a number 2, but it's a big, expensive thing. And so when the crowdfund started last night, I got very excited. Initially, so the crowdfund period is going to go until April 7th, right? April 7th or April 6th. It's basically a 30-day. I think it's April 7th because it started on March 7th. The base dragon is $550. And my initial plan was to, there's some accessory sets too we'll get into, was to grab an accessory set early, but maybe wait till the end of the campaign to back the dragon itself. And there's a pay in 4 option that is available. And I figured by doing that, I could like push the payments off further down the road, right? So less of a hit. But April 6th, Curtis says. Thank you, Curtis. But I got so excited, I was like, you know what? I went on Offworld last night, the live stream, and backed the dragon during the stream.
Yeah.
And Curtis's Curtis's super chat is because one little piece of information that I'm trying to get out there, and I said it so many times, people were probably getting pissed because they heard it so many times, was that if you do pick the pay in 4 option, listen, this is an expensive thing.
Yes.
It's not a lot of people can get this. I can understand you can't afford it or you don't want to pay that much for something. I get it. It's an expensive thing. So it's not for everybody.
Mhm.
But for the people that do want it, there are options. For example, this pay in 4 option where it splits it up into 4 interest-free payments where your payments are every 2 weeks. And when you back it, although the 4 Horsemen purchase price is paid right away, you actually don't make your first payment for 2 weeks. So I backed this bad boy last night. My first payment under the payment plan is not until March 22nd.
Nice.
So I think that's a valuable piece of information for people that are trying to plan financially. They haven't saved up the money for it yet. What's up, Ryan?
No, I was going to say Shop Pay does offer monthly. It is more, you do have to pay interest on that, but it
Yeah.
spreads it out over a longer period of time. I understand it would be more expensive, but it will be considerably less than what you would have to go to the secondary market for this on.
Yeah.
So if you want to go that route, it's a viable option.
Joe was on the show last night too. He said, thanks for the $2 super chat. Joe G. He said, I didn't say it enough last night. All right. So I just said it again, and it's not the last time I'll say it. So
yeah, man. Well, it's good. It's good to know that with this big of a thing, that they actually have payment options available for it. Because, like I said, yes, not everybody has, the funds to, support something this big all in one shot. So being able to have an option to spread it out obviously makes it a little bit easier for a lot of people. So good that they, offered that with this campaign.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I backed last night for the base dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the here we go.
Base dragon seems like such an odd way of describing what you get.
Yeah. It sounds so plain.
I keep hearing it and thinking like, well, what do you not get? You get the dragon, you get the head, you get the tail, you get the wing. Like what like the base dragon is like this amazingly epic, majestic dragon. Base seems like a weird way of describing it, but
yeah, I don't know, Cloud. What for me for using Shop Pay, I double checked, and that's kind of the way it's been. And they're not all like that. Like Klarna, I think takes the money right away.
Yeah.
I don't know, Shop Pay and Affirm. I'm not sure if they have a relationship now or not, but I know for Shop Pay, I go in, when I pay for it, if I do the pay in 4 option, the first payment's not for 2 weeks, which is cool. Now you have to, plan ahead for that because that bumps all the payments back. But this big giant dragon, which is very expensive, my payments are like $146 every 2 weeks. it's not that big of a lift at this point, and you get the whole dragon, right, about 3.5 feet long or whatever it is. And yes, it does have an articulated jaw, a head with an articulated jaw, and semi folded up wings. So you've got the whole dragon, right? And that's 2,000 units have to be sold to fund. But along with the dragon offering, this figure is the first stretch goal. So this is Sir Benegar up here in the upper right here. So at 2,500, just 20, you know what? For some reason in my head, I was thinking it was 3,000. At 2,500, you get this base figure gets thrown in with the dragon for no extra cost. So I saw this picture and I freaked out. I think this figure looks awesome. There's definitely like either vampiric or dragon-like stuff going on here with the pauldrons and the helmet. What do you guys think about this guy?
Yeah, I think they did a great job. Yeah, it's awesome.
And it won't be produced afterwards. So if you want this figure, get in on the pre-order.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge component of this. Like when you're thinking about what to do here, as far as people that are like getting more than one and things. When they first said, okay, we're not going to make this figure again, I kind of assumed that meant, okay, this exact figure they're not going to make again, but maybe they'll make a different version. And certainly the parts, the new parts, because this thing has some new parts on it, they're going to reuse those, and that's the way it's going to be. And so they have come out very strongly and said no, specifically those like winged pauldrons and the helmet, that new helmet, those two things they said they're not going to use again. So to me, what that means is, if we get to the 2,500, assuming that it funds and we get to 2,500 and this figure is made, this is going to be one of the scarcest, rarest, and therefore one of the most expensive figures in the line.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, there's a really good chance that you could back the dragon, get the figure, sell the figure, and that would pay for a good chunk of the dragon. I mean, I could see this guy going for 200, 300 down the line, maybe even more than that. So
probably, when there's scarce figures like that, you absolutely know it.
Valguard expensive.
I had a weird, and I know I saw it a few times on the Cabal that it happened to more than a few people. I thought it just, maybe I had made a mistake, but obviously it happened to a few people. I put my order in last night after watching Trevor do his live broadcast of the actual thing going up for sale, or the Kickstarter, the crowdfunding starting off. But I placed my order, and I checked what address I wanted it shipped to, had my information all in, checked that I wanted to utilize the FedEx shipping, and then went to the payment option and paid. And then it said thank you for your purchase, and it gave me the summary of my thing. And then on the shipping, it said free shipping. It didn't charge me for shipping. It said local pickup. And I'm like, what in the hell? Like, what just happened? So I had to email this, customer service to let them know, hey, you guys need to invoice me for the shipping, because for some reason your system automatically defaulted back to the pickup at local pickup. So that was kind of a bummer, because I kind of wanted to get it all done. But I mean, it's done anyway, so I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've gotten a response yet, but I'm assuming that if that's happened to people through the system, that, they're going to have to go back through and sort of like, fix the shipping thing. Now, I live in New Jersey, and certainly there is some advantage or some benefit to getting the dragon sooner, because what they've said is they have this local pickup option. There's going to be specific dates that they're going to have, like pickup times, special pickup times to come get your dragon. And I do live in New Jersey, but that's not going to be until after they ship out the dragons that have to go by mail or FedEx or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, living in New Jersey, and I think shipping for my dragon was going to be $41. I'm like, I live in New Jersey. Wouldn't it be stupid not to take advantage if they're going to have a local pickup option?
Oh,
How
yeah,
can I
bro.
not do that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's so stupid to not do that.
Yeah, shit. I'd be all over going to pick that thing up if it could cut down the shipping. That'd be awesome. But yeah, from California, yeah, it's not an option. Sorry.
So Curtis makes a really good point here. Not a lot of people have heard about this yet. So if you haven't heard about this yet, if you do the pay in 4 option, you can lock in your order today and there's no payment for 2 weeks.
Nice.
And then is this madness? Is this Sparta? Is this Patrick? The answer to all of those things is yes. It's all of those things. Yeah, but on the shipping thing, I would say if it switches it on you, there's nothing you can do about it. But be careful with the shipping. There's 4 options. The first option listed, so the default is the local pickup, then FedEx, then UPS or something, and then the last one is United Postal Service, which I think they're requiring your firstborn child. But USPS is requiring your firstborn child. If you don't have one, you have to have a child and hand it over to them.
Yeah, to California, it was like $544. I was like, yeah, no. No, thanks.
Dude, to me, it was like, I think it was 90 and
That's
FedEx
crazy.
was 54.
Yeah. The FedEx option was like 149 to California, which, like I said, for something that freaking huge, yeah, I'm not gonna bitch and moan about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and then here's the thing. Like, whenever you ship something, anybody that ships, whether you use pirate ship or you go to the post office or do something else, you have multiple options. People generally pick the best balance of how quick it gets there and, the least expensive part. So obviously nobody should be picking USPS right now because it's the most expensive option.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
It's so expensive. It almost seems like there might be something incorrect with the post office option, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
FedEx sounds like it was the cheapest.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I've seen everything from 37, I think was the cheapest I saw, to somebody in Alaska it was like hundreds of dollars. I think
too.
What's that?
The overseas customers, I think somebody was going to get charged like $410, not including like what they have to pay after it gets overseas and goes through customs.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, the overseas guys are, I'm sorry, but they're all screwed.
Sorry, Adam.
Screwed.
No, I'm not even overseas, but and my shipping still. I mean, I'm in Western Canada, so it's got to go all the way across the continent, and then it's got to cross a border.
That's what I meant, because I knew they had to go through customs and stuff.
Yeah.
So are you back in the Dragon, Adam? I don't even know.
You know what? I'm not, but it's not because of the price. It's not because of the shipping. It's not because of any of that. I literally have nowhere to put it, and it's not even like I could make room. Like I just don't have room for it. Benegar, I was like, maybe I'll sell the Dragon, and I was like, nah, it's just too much to invest in. Wait, like if I need Benegar enough, like I'll just buy it aftermarket. I know it's going to be crazy expensive, but it's probably going to be the same price for me in the end, whether I kind of like back this whole thing and wait for it or just wait and pick up the figure later. Because I can fit one more figure on my shelf. I cannot fit a 37-foot long Dragon with fire breath and 8-foot wide wings or whatever.
Here's my pitch.
It's crazy.
Here's my pitch because and here's the thing, it's not just a pitch, because it's basically sort of the way I'm looking at it. People are looking at this thing like it's like an Eternia playset, you know what I mean? Like they need to find, or a Cat's Lair, like there's like this giant shelf for a table they need to come up with to display the Dragon. And that's cool, right? That's cool if you want to do that, and you can do that. That's not what I'm going to do. And that's not really how I'm thinking about it. This thing is like, it's a piece of art more than it is an action figure. He's going to like he might not even just stay in one place in my house. Like he's just going to be like on the floor. Like he'll be hanging out over there. Then maybe he'll be hanging out over there. Maybe he'll hang out in the living room for a little bit. So, I mean, listen, everybody's got a few corners of their house where instead of that vase or that little table or whatever, get that crap out of here. Put a Dragon there. You want a conversation starter. You want to impress the ladies or the guys, whatever. Get a Dragon. That's what you want.
Ryan, can we jump in here? We all know that Jonathan's never going to take it out of the box, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
well, that's why I need a second one. One to rock, one to stock.
Hey.
Yeah. So it's
bump those numbers up.
on that point, a funny thing happened earlier today. Ryan sent this picture of he got the Robo Skull, right? The Robo Skull ship at Zolocon, because Skeletron, the company, was there. They had a dope booth. I got a couple of figures, and he took some cool pictures and stuff with it and put some figures in there. And I was like, wait, you picked one of those up at Zolocon? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, this really makes me look like an idiot. You know why? Because I backed the Kickstarter 3 years ago. I've had the Robo Skull in my possession since January. The box is over there. I haven't opened it yet. Since that time, Ryan has bought one, taken it out, and taken pictures of it already.
And the packaging is in the trash. It's already gone.
Good for you, Ryan.
I need to.
That's how you do it.
You know what it is, man? I've got to get this basement organized. Finish getting it organized. I'm making progress, but it's taking months. Once everything is back on the shelves, because all the figures came off the shelves, it was completely reorganized. Now there's giant boxes everywhere. Once that's there, I can start to kind of like get into this stuff a little bit more. That's the plan, anyway. That's the plan. I don't even know what this is about, but Sig's on the same wavelength with me here. How much was the Cat's Lair to ship? The Cat's Lair was $50 flat, and Super 7 had some kind of obviously they had some kind of deal. I don't know if they ate money on the shipping or whatever, but it was $50.
They would have eaten money on that.
Yeah,
Was it
definitely.
Guaranteed.
Damn, that was
Guaranteed
a huge. That was a huge box to ship too.
It was either 50 or 100. I think it was 50. I think it was 50. And it was
either way, it was 2 boxes, 2 massive boxes, and I think they probably just kind of worked that into the price of the Cat's Lair, and then just sort of added $100 on. I think it was $100. Brian Carr saying
I think it was 100. Yeah. Brian,
I think it was $100, and I think it.
Sorry.
It was one of those things where like that was a component. They didn't offer local pickup either, so
yeah,
it's sort of like you buy the Cat's Lair, it's 100 on top of that. They could have, and it's the same with this, right? Bear Theory could have been $650 and shipped for free to continental United States, but people's brains don't work that way, right? Like they'd rather see $550 plus $40 to $150 shipping than see $650, because then people that live close are going to go, well, it doesn't cost as much to ship to me, so I would have rather. So you can't win. In my experience of sort of doing it every which way you can think of, you can't win. You're always going to get people that sort of complain about either the price or the shipping, or why is the figure behind a paywall? It's like, it's not. It's like, it's a collectible item that you don't need. You either buy it if you see value in it, or you don't, and you move on, right? Like shipping is crazy expensive. There's no way around that. And whether they bake it into the price or not, it's not cheap. So
toy collectors complaining is unheard of. So
yeah, I know, right? This is a brand new thing that started with this dragon, so it's interesting to see where it goes from here.
So and yeah, I had something to say. I kind of wanted to say about it a little bit, and I sort of alluded to that when we first started talking about the dragon today. In that, first, I think the context here is that this is, it is something of a niche item. Like within something of a niche, like Mythic Legions is very popular. It's still in context. In the whole scope of things, something of a niche line compared to like Star Wars, Marvel Legends, things like that. So, and again, this is something they've been talking about doing for years and years and years, that they really wanted to do. Hundreds of fans really wanted them to do it. And in the first 12 hours of the campaign, they sold 500 of these things. But this is it's a huge piece. It's an expensive piece. It was always going to be expensive. I can understand people being like, you know what? First of all, I mean, it'd be hard for me to believe that somebody couldn't look at this dragon and think it's awesome, but maybe they can think it's awesome, but not really really want it. I can see people saying, okay, it's cool, but like, I don't have space for it, right? Because it's huge. I can see people being like, it's cool, but like, I can't afford that, or I'm not going to spend that much money on like a toy item or a collectible. I get all that. That's, that's personal choice, what your situation is, all that stuff. All of that makes sense to me. The thing that makes no freaking sense to me whatsoever are the people that like, where like, it becomes like they're spitting like vitriol about it. And it's not a lot of people. It's not. But there's been a couple of things that I was shown like earlier today where it's like people are like, look, personally pissed off about it. Like, it's like, bro, what are you angry about? Like, if like you think it's too expensive or you don't have room for it, you think it's too big, then you don't buy it. Then it's not for you. That's cool. Like that, it's not for you, right? So like there was somebody that like they were so mad about it. They were like, I hope it doesn't fund. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you care? Why would you care if it funds or not? Like, and what would you like? What is the thing that you would want to have different? Like, what was the thing that you'd want to have happen? Make the same dragon, but just bring it to you and just give it to you. Like, this is the price. Like they don't want the thing to be what it already is. Like, this is it. It's a massive giant dragon. This is exactly what they intended to make.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the cost, right? Like, this is the cost of what it is.
You know what I think with a lot of those, people making those comments, I think it's typically one of two things, and I'm going to make a generalization, and I could be wrong, and come at me with your like, no, this is why I'm angry. Fine,
Canadians, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Canadians.
I think it's typically, from my experience, one of two things. Either you really want it and you can't afford it, so you're like mad about it, or you're doing it to get the attention of having a hot take where you're just saying it even if you don't necessarily mean it, because that people are going to react. So you're either doing it because you're mad that you can't have it, or you're doing it just to troll, right?
Right.
I think that's the two. Because why would anybody be angry that a toy company wants to make an amazing, majestic dragon? Like, why would you be mad about that? It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, it's like
because it doesn't fit exactly what they want. So they're gonna scream and cry and throw a tantrum about it. That's basically it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, I think even set like the funding goals sort of tell you exactly.
How dare you?
Yeah, what do you and how dare you come on here and express it so eloquently and make sense?
Toys are expensive, man. They're want-based items. If you want them enough, you'll figure out how to buy them. Like, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Like, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, for your groceries first, and then if you got $550, buy a dragon. This thing's gonna be amazing.
Pay your mortgage. First of all, Adam, don't come on this show and tell me what to do. Okay, pay my mortgage.
Telling us how to live our lives.
Move. Well, there is the counter argument of like, if you move out of wherever you live, you're gonna save a whole ton of money. The box is gonna be huge. You can live in the box with the dragon.
I could live in my cat's
lair.
Probably
save money.
I could live in my cat's lair.
You're gonna save money by moving out of your house and just buying the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look at this thing. Look, it's the funding goal is 2,000 units. Like, we know, like, this is not like a HasLab where they might make 10,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to make 5,000 of these. Like, there's not going to be that many made. So if it's not something that fits in your collection for whatever reason, that's cool. And here, full disclosure, I backed it. I am going to be promoting the shit out of this thing because I have seen it in person. Yeah. This thing is gorgeous. It is amazing. And I will encourage anybody that actually wants to get it, to think long and hard about doing it. Do it as soon as possible, because like, I would like to get the figure stretch goals, and I want to see this thing be successful. And if it's the kind of thing you can work out financially, oh baby, and this thing funds, whatever you decide to do, if you want to make all your money back and cut a profit, you're going to be able to, because there's not going to be that many of these things made. For sure. And like I said, that's a whole, like I said, that's a whole personal choice for each and every individual collector. Do you have the money? Do you have the space? And will your wife not murder you in the middle of the night if you buy it? You know what I mean? More on that later.
Lucky ones.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
That theory will be tested.
That's why I'm happily single
delivery
now,
of this thing.
But I mean, that, like I said, if you can buy it, you can buy it. If you can't, you can't. I mean, and knowing that probably there will be, a very small quantity of these made after it funds. I mean, I'm, thinking that if you have the chance, I mean, this could be a very wise investment, even if you don't, have the opportunity to actually display it and enjoy it for yourself. But as an investment buy, I mean, this thing is way beyond the scope of any action figure toy that you've ever encountered in your entire life. If you have not seen it in person, it is ridiculously cool. So I don't know. Like I said, for each and every person, I mean, like I said, it's an individual choice. It's an individual, struggle to figure out, like I said, if you're ready financially, space wise, what have you. But like I said, don't shit on everybody else's parade, man. I mean, that's like I said, don't go on there. But, if you're crying for attention, I mean, I guess this is the right moment for you because, that's what it's all about. But we're here to say that we're here to back it. I know I backed it. Ryan backed it. Jonathan backed it. And to Thomas's point, it is toy history. It is toy history. I mean, I hate to compare it to some of the huge things in toy history, but like the U.S. flag, 30-40 years from now, people are going to be talking about this dragon when it came to pass and when it came into the toy industry. But yeah, it's just it's up to you to make that decision, but don't rain on anybody else's parade while you're doing it. You know what I mean? It's just stupid, man. It's just stupid.
It's an awesome thing. This is toy history. We're witnessing toy history. And I'm glad you mentioned the flag because I have a USS flag sitting right over there. And when this thing comes in, Trevor Williams is going to come to my house and we're going to take a picture of the dragon sitting on the flag.
Yeah.
and then I'm done. I've done everything that I came here to do.
That's right.
I'm done after that.
Yeah.
All right. So to keep things moving along, here's the accessory set that will be thrown in at no extra charge if the dragon hits 3,000 units. See some soft goods, a ridiculous dragon shield, another head, a lance with a fist on it for some reason. Some cool stuff. Any thoughts on this stuff, guys?
Awesome accessory pack for it. It's going to be cool. And it's just going to make that figure more expensive.
That shield is
sick, right?
Dude, that's like
so cool.
They said that they're not going to reuse the helmet, they're not going to reuse the pauldrons, which I totally get. Just from a production standpoint, you're probably looking at a tooling plate there. I think it makes sense to never reuse it and just sort of say that cost is a sunk cost that goes with the dragon. I really hope that at some point that shield gets, when they do a red dragon or they do a blue dragon or something like that, maybe we'll get another version of that because that shield looks ridiculously cool.
It's beautiful. And the paint job is amazing. Here's a question for you, especially for my customizers out there. So there's been a few people who incredibly said that they plan to buy more than one dragon and their intention is to take one of the dragons and as soon as they get it, paint it. Curtis, our buddy Curtis in the chat, he's going to do it like a Granomir style paint job, which is kind of awesome. Not kind of, it's freaking awesome. Eric Miller, who is now working for Four Horsemen, said he planned to get more than one dragon and paint one of them, which is crazy, but in the most wonderful, wonderful way. What about this figure? Could you see anybody customizing this figure, painting it up maybe like in Alithia colors, purple and shiny black or something like that? Like if you're going to paint the dragon, is anybody going to paint this guy?
It could happen, but I think it'd be a real stupid move. I think it'd be a real stupid move.
I think it comes down to can you get these parts elsewhere and you can't. So ultimately it's sort of like, if you've got an idea for a custom that has to have that helmet,
well, hopefully
you don't have an option, right? Like you kind of just
just for shits and giggles, hopefully if everything funds, if all the the stretch goals fund and everything makes it through, I'll have 3 of these coming, and then just to piss people off, I'll take it on a live stream and I'll tear it apart and I'll repaint it right in front of everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Just because I can.
You know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit is collectors and customizers that have been in line for like a really long time. and they got in like real early on, even with the original Kickstarter, but they don't have some of those original Kickstarter figures that are like so expensive now because they ripped them apart
They
for
painted
custom.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. People that
Joe G is a perfect example. Like, he talks about how he's done that with I had a bunch of these and I took them apart because I needed, the pauldrons or something, and I painted them whatever color. He's like, but they, you look at it as like a $40 figure or whatever, instead of looking at, market value. You're like, well, I mean, from that perspective, I only paid this much, so I'm not really, sinking too much money into it. It's really only valuable when you sell it. It's not as valuable in your own possession. So it kind of
whatever you want it to be. Yeah.
Kind of a moot point if you're not going to sell them.
Yeah. Real quick, get something going here. We do have a giveaway today, but we're going to do something a little bit different. Again, going along with my whole idea that I want to support the dragon and encourage others to do so too. What we're going to give away on today's show, later on, after we go through the rest of the dragon stuff and then take a real good look at the Space Zombies from Mars Kickstarter, is we're going to give away a $25 Store Horseman gift card that you can use for the dragon. And here's the rule. And you're on honor system here, is that if you win the $25 gift card, that it's used to purchase a dragon, that it's used as part of the purchase. If you've already purchased the dragon, to purchase an accessory set, and you're on your honor, right? You're on your honor that's what you use it for. But that's what we're going to do here. And let me share my screen here so we can start collecting comments.
You know what I feel bad for right now? It's
that?
all this dragon talk, and everybody all of a sudden forgot about this little guy. Nobody's talking about the poor barbarian. He's pretty sad right now. Yeah, he's
just old news. He's just nobody cares about him anymore.
Nobody cares.
How do you think the Ninian infantry feels right now?
Exactly. Yeah, he's just sad. Put his hand to his head. He's like, I'm real sad. Poor barbarian.
So a couple funny things about that. Here, make sure this is spelled correctly. Back the bay. All right, cool. Yeah, so hashtag back the bay. That's the hashtag. $25 gift card, which is intended to be used to purchase a dragon or an accessory set. We're going to take a look at those numbers. So another story about how I can do stupid things. So I was at Zolocon all weekend, which is where the Barbarian was released. I was there both days. On Saturday morning, when I go to conventions, I try early on to do like a live stream walk around of the whole convention, because number one, it gives me a chance to kind of walk around and look at everything. But also number two, it gives people who can't make it to the convention a way to sort of see what's going on there. So that's my thing. That's what I like to do. So I did my live stream Saturday morning, and that takes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I think it was about an hour and a half. And by the time I was done and had, talked to other people, I was milling around or whatever, got back to the table, the Barbarians were sold out at the Horseman table. But I didn't think it was weird. I didn't think it was, I mean, not that I didn't think it was weird. It didn't bother me because I was like, all right, I'll come back tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, and I'll grab one. Got back to the table Sunday morning. But again, I wasn't lined up like before the con opened or anything like that. I got to the table like 9:30. They were gone. So
wow.
No more barbarians. So I didn't get any barbarians from Zolocon. But I do now. Oh, excuse me. But I do now have a barbarian.
Nice.
So I do have a barbarian.
Yes, sir.
Of my buddy Benny Torres.
Benny.
Yeah, Benny.
I put the hedgehog signal up, and a couple people were willing to sort of help out. And I went to Benny's house yesterday and picked up a barbarian, so I now have it.
Nice.
All right, so there you go. Back the bay is the hashtag. Next thing, as far as the dragon goes, we got to talk for a little bit about this freaking Fiery Breath add-on set that I think is amazing. So this is a flame effect. So the big giant flame shooting out of the dragon's mouth effect the ring of fire that's sort of like the base that the fire shoots into, a whole additional dragon head and neck, so you can get the dragon like leaning forward and angrily spitting the fire out, and the Burning Knight figure, which is a translucent orange and yellow, beautiful, gorgeous figure, which blew me away. I'm so excited about it. Guys, what are your thoughts on this accessory set? $150 is the total for the set.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I like this. I like this Burning Knight better than the first figure. I think it's freaking awesome. I think it's super cool.
Yeah. I love the way that it heats up on some of the parts. If you don't like, it goes from the metal to the translucent.
Yeah,
I do like that a lot.
So cool, man. So cool. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a freaking total winner if this funds. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. The sort of fade to translucent parts for me look a little bit better than the full translucent parts. Almost like he's heating up from the core.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's gonna be so good. So
heck yeah.
All right.
That even if I get nothing else, I'm really gonna try really hard to get that like Ghost Rider head. Those like flaming parts sort of go with the skull.
Yeah,
because that's just gonna be
super cool.
Yeah.
Oh wait, here we go.
Yeah.
So here's a look at
that looks so freaking awesome.
Yeah, and like configured like that, right? With the metal hands, the metal boots still, and that flaming sword. Like, then you almost have like a Ghost Rider type knight.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily have to have him as like a victim of the dragon. He can almost be like a, like an elemental type knight.
I think this thing would look great on Atheon too, with that flaming horse.
Yes. Dude.
I think this would be a great combo to go with that horse, because he's got that flaming like mane and everything. I think that would look awesome on that. I'll be honest too, the flame effect, like I said, I backed everything along with the dragons that I got, but the flame effect itself, outside of the flame effect, I think I'm hoping very much so that some of our people who do extra effects kits and stuff that in our community start making different types of flame effects to come out of this dragon's mouth. I would like to see a different variety of either colors or styles of flames that might be shooting out of the dragon's mouth, because this is a beautiful thing, but really in one, it has to be kind of directed in one style or direction to like make it look right. But I think there's a lot of people out there in the community that are probably already in the works to try to produce something like that, but I'd definitely like to see a lot of different styles, or especially colors of different flame effects coming out of this thing. I think it would be really cool to see.
You know what I think would be really, really cool, just from a Dungeons and Dragons perspective, is that not every dragon breathes fire. So I would love to see like lightning effects.
Exactly.
Other types of effects, not just fire.
Yeah, it could be
kind of, maybe your dragon isn't a fire breathing dragon. Maybe your dragon is another version, right? So it would be really, really cool to see stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah, like you said, lightning effects, different like a frost effect or whatever it might be that's flying out of his mouth. But definitely hoping people jump on that and freaking start, once this thing's in hand, start giving us the options for different effects to be coming out of his mouth. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Paul Hodgson here, who says from the UK he's in on the basic and the fire add-on set. That's dope.
Let's go.
And
way to go, man.
Brian Carr had a question here too. Have Four Horsemen ever said how the flame connects to the inside of the dragon's mouth? And Jordan, Wholesome Warlock, what's going on, comes in with the answer that yes, as you can see here, right here, the this weird little red thing here, that's the dragon's tongue that actually snaps into his mouth. You can take that out, and then the end of the flame effect snaps in there to make it more stable. So there you go. Carver Brian says, all right, already took measurements and asked Jeremy a lot of questions about the flame at Legion's Con.
Yes,
so there
sir.
you go. So
Yes,
does
sir.
that mean Mr. Lynn is going to have light up flame effects coming out of the mouth? Please do that.
Hopefully.
And then I think Eric, you mentioned this really good idea. What about Steph? Detour Customs could do some crazy stuff with flame effects.
Yep, I already sent Steph a message and tell them, get to work, brother, get to work. We're gonna be expecting it with all his cool flame effects that he does. Heck yeah, I'm totally expecting it.
So here's the Burning Night with all the stuff that comes with him. So let's go back to here. So the night is included. So the night is included with the accessory set. So you pay the 150 plus tax or whatever, assuming that it funds, and they need 1,000 units of the set to fund. You get the night with the head, neck, tongue, flame effects. There's also some accessories that if it hits 1250 get thrown in, and that's this other stuff here, but including this, the chainmail head here is one of the extra add-ons. So
yeah,
pretty cool stuff. Here we go. Put this in the wrong order. Of course, there's a second accessory set, and that is another set of giant wings, and these are the splayed out, wings to go on the dragon. There's also an unlock with this set too. This set is also $150. This set also has a 1,000 unit funding threshold, and if it hits 1250, you also get like this charred zombie dude with some weapons here. So good stuff. I think out of the two accessory sets, this is the one that I think if people are going to skip one, you would think this would probably be the one, because the dragon already comes with wings that are pretty dope. So maybe this would be the one that they skip. I will say that based on the numbers that were announced this morning, it sounds like this set is right on track with the other set.
Right there, yeah.
So, Eric, you said you got, for your orders, you got all in, so you got everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I did 3, and I did three accessories as well, because I didn't want to have one that didn't have all the accessories to go along with it. Because like I said, later on down the line, if I want to sell, I want to sell it as a complete set with everything that came with it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be like, well, I didn't get and then what if the person buying it wants the extended wings? You know what I mean? Or wants the fire breathing effect, and I didn't have it with it. You know what I mean? The dragon's cool as it is, but like I said, I definitely wanted to add the accessory sets to each one of them. So yeah, I got them.
Cool.
Yep.
Although real quick, I wanted to plus this in here. Benny says maybe some ice.
Yeah.
Now, I have said, assuming, let's say 5 years down the line, they decide to do another dragon somehow, another dragon project or whatever. I don't need more than one dragon. But if they did an ice dragon that was had a lot of translucent blue parts and stuff like that, I would have to think long and hard about it. But
yeah.
Today's not that day.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about this a little bit already. It's a cool thing. So yes, shipping is expensive. It's a massive, massive piece. So shipping is expensive depending on how many you get, and certainly depending on how far away you are, it's going to be more expensive. That's just part of the game. But the Horsemen are offering a local pickup option. That means if you buy the dragon, there will be select dates that will be scheduled and times where you can come pick up your order from the Horsemen. Now, again, the local pickup dates, at least as of right now, my understanding is they won't happen until all of the mailed orders ship out. So just word to the wise. I do think this opens up different options. Obviously, the obvious one is that anybody that's semi-local or within a driving radius, you can save on shipping and pick it up when the time comes to come pick it up. Also, we don't know when this dragon's going to release, right? Let's say the dragon comes out in August or September of 2026. You know what I mean? The problem is we don't really know this now. But depending on how long you're willing to wait, even somebody that doesn't live that close but is planning on coming to Legions Con, could potentially pick the local pickup option. And I think, maybe have a friend. Somehow this would have to be confirmed. And, I don't know all of the details about that, but at least maybe that's a possibility. Maybe you could have a buddy pick it up for you and you get it at Legions Con, if that's a possibility. A lot of people drive in from a few states away. So it's just another option that you can kind of play with.
Yeah.
All right. So, and here, it's a Kickstarter type crowdfund campaign. So people want to know where we're at. There's funding goals we have to hit in order for the dragon to become a reality, in order for the accessory sets to become a reality. And we have some stretch goals here. So people want to know where we're at. So first of all, the Fiery Breath pack, as of this morning, about 12 hours into the campaign, it's 1,000 piece threshold. And it was already, it looks like, this is not exactly exact here, but it looks like it's just simmering under 500 pieces. So the Fiery Breath pack looked like it was almost 50% in 12 hours. The wing set, between 250 and 5. So maybe let's call that 300 or 400. So still pacing along a pace to definitely fund now for the accessory set. And then the most important one, the dragon himself, Baethir, hovering right above the 500 mark. So that means about 12 hours into the campaign, the dragon was at about 25% funded, about a quarter of the way there. That's obviously fantastic with a month to go. Now, of course, I would also presume that a lot of people like me that were very excited about it, that are longtime fans, put their orders in last night, just like Ryan, Eric, and I did. So that 500 pieces in 12 hours, I don't know. Who knows how it's going to go, but you kind of presume that pace we won't see that pace again until the end of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, because this is not being run like Kickstarter runs their crowd funds, Kickstarter, again, you can back the campaign whenever you want, but the money doesn't get pulled until the end of the campaign and only if it funds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Here, when you, just like a Super 7 crowd fund, when you pay, the money gets pulled. Now, again, we talked about there's those other options. There's pay in 4, there's pay in longer, shop pay, Affirm, Klarna, all that stuff. But generally speaking, the money gets paid for when the order is placed. So the reason why I bring that back up is because I do think that's going to influence a significant amount of people who are going to back. They'll wait until the end of the campaign to back, just because that's when the money will get pulled. So, these campaigns often have a big bump at the end. I'm expecting that in this instance too.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's it's, because they're not running it through a crowdfunding platform. They're just running it through Store Horseman. So I don't know that they have the ability in the back end to do that, just from a sort of logistical perspective. And so somebody has to kind of manually report all this stuff and manually, put the graphics in and do all that kind of stuff. Which is a great way to do it, because, to be perfectly honest, those sites cost a lot of money. Kickstarter takes 10-12% off the top. So doing it through their own store makes way more sense, just for sort of the bottom line of this thing. But yeah, this is gonna fund it, but I think you're absolutely right that it might fund. You might see this thing kind of creep up day over day, and then in the last 2-3 days, it'll just go like 300% above where it was, because it charges. When you back it, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to sort of sit and wait and sort of put a little bit aside for the next couple paychecks, and pay off a credit card and sort of get it to a level that's a little bit easier to sort of absorb this. So it's this thing is epic, and for all the reasons that you guys have said and all the reasons that everybody have said, right? Like, this is a once in a lifetime. You're not going to get an opportunity to get this again. Certainly not at this price. Shipping's going to be this much whether you back it through the Four Horsemen or you pay somebody an aftermarket price later. So the resistance based on the shipping charge, to me is it's a moot point, because unless you live next to the guy that ordered it, you're paying that shipping charge. So
yeah, absolutely.
And it's Adam, you're an excellent resource too on top of it to have during this, because somebody with firsthand experience,
yeah, I've done most of this stuff a couple times.
And is this a fair way to put it too? Is that, like, a layman like myself, I'm a customer. I've never run any kind of campaign like this. But to me, it's like, whether you go through Kickstarter or not, number one, the Horsemen already have something of an infrastructure they can, modify and rely on as far as selling the product that a lot of people don't have. They have a built-in core audience that, is another consideration, where Kickstarter brings you, you can use the Kickstarter platform to get your product out there to more people than you might otherwise be able to do. They provide the infrastructure, right? There's an appeal there to some of the customers and backers, because the money doesn't get pulled to the end, but it's a little bit like whether you sell a toy or something like that person to person, or you list it on eBay. eBay provides you all of the infrastructure and all that stuff too. But eBay's taken their VIG, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
So all right, Ryan, Eric, Adam, if you have any more thoughts, can you guys just give us some of what you think about where we're at now, the pace, and sort of what we might see coming up? I'm gonna run upstairs real quick. I'll be back in 2 seconds, if that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the numbers look good for, like I said, for just over 12 hours now. I mean, obviously this hasn't been updated since, maybe 6 o'clock this morning, but I think it'll climb like steadily, like you said, maybe slow down a little bit at some point, but at the very end, yeah, there'll be that jump, especially with retailers that want to grab a few of them to, obviously, I mean, they're obviously paying the full price of the Dragon, so they'll obviously upscale the aftermarket price once they have it in hand. But I mean, I think it's good to know that even after funding, I mean, I'm hoping that we don't see numbers in the tens of thousands of units. I mean, it would be great for the Four Horsemen Studios. I mean, kudos to them for the project and the effort that they've put to bring this thing to life. But I would love to see this thing obviously fund, but end up in the anywhere from 3,500 to the 4,000 range of total units sold. Because thinking of that, maybe that many units worldwide available, you know what I mean? And I have a couple extras. I mean, that's definitely, where the investment, opportunity comes into play. And I would be really, really happy to be standing on a few extras of these, afterwards. But yeah, I think like I said, I have total, faith in that everything will fund. And there's a lot of fans out there that are obviously, like I said, either holding off to either the last minute, or, like you said, paying off a credit card, or just saving up for, a couple extra paychecks to make sure that they get one and they're ready to go. But yeah, I think it's like I said, I think it's an amazing time, an amazing experience, and just like, to me, just a once in a lifetime opportunity to buy something that's just simply just, better and huger than anything else that's ever been made. And it's just incredible. Terrence says 5,273 units will sell.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping.
I think it could definitely get up there. I mean, just looking at their sort of first day totals, I think this is, again, because you pay when you order. I don't think we're going to see quite the same trajectory as you typically see with a Kickstarter. Kickstarter tends to have like a spike at the beginning, and then it kind of like, just kind of grinds through, and then it spikes at the end. Whereas this is going to be like, a lot of people are kind of sitting on a payday and just waiting to sort of have the money to pay for it, right? Like, because there's really no benefit to wait till the end in a weird way. Like, if you have the money today, you may as well back it today. If you're going to have the money, on Friday, back it then. If you're going to have the money on the 15th, you're going to back it then. If you have the money at the end of the month, if you have the money at the end of the campaign, like, everybody's sort of payment date is going to be subjective to, their financing and stuff like that. So I think this initial weekend, because people have been waiting for it, you're going to see a pretty big first weekend just because people have been waiting. Some people have been waiting 10 years for it, right? But I think it's going to be one of those things where, on Fridays and the 15th, because I don't think those line up this year, although it's not that far off. But anyway, you're going to see these like bumps, and I think it's just going to keep going up and up and up. And as things unlock too, you'll see people that are kind of like a little on the fence, that are like waiting for something to unlock before they back it, just to guarantee that they get it.
Right.
Because that's, every collector's kind of rationalization is a little bit different. So, it's going to be different for anybody. I don't think this thing is going to sell, 20,000 units. So, like if you're sitting on 3, you're sitting on a decent amount of all the ones that are made, right?
Yep.
The flip side of that is I think a lot of people that back one of these are never going to get rid of it. So there's going to be very few of these on the aftermarket. That's my prediction. Like long term, is that anybody that can get an extra is going to be able to cash that in, as soon as this thing releases, because the pre-order period is only a month. So anybody that misses out on it for whatever reason, whether it's a new collector, whether it's somebody that just couldn't get the money together in time, whether it's whatever reason, right? These are going to be worth more, 8 weeks from now. So it's going to be a quick turnaround if you do want to flip one of these.
I think that's a really good point, because think about it. Like, we've known the Dragon is coming and that the crowdfund was imminent since November. So there's been a lot of people that have been saving and preparing. But even right now, there's a lot of people that are posting that like are into it, love it, but they're like, man, I wish it just doesn't fall right for me. I wish that the campaign period was a little bit longer. Listen, anybody, I'm seriously thinking about it. Like, I got my Dragon, I backed mine. I'm excited about that. As the campaign goes on, the temptation to get a second one is going to be there, because you're going to make your money back. Plus, like, if you part out, like if we hit that the Green Knight, like the Flame Effect, if you part out those figures and sell the Dragon, like, you're gonna make your money back plus lots of profit.
Easily. I mean, you're even with the wings. If you just had the wing set, I mean, an extra wing set, I mean, there's probably a ton of people that just bought the base figure, and after the campaign, once they get it in hand, are gonna realize, damn it, I should have bought that damn wing set. And if you have one available, you're easily gonna make your money and some profit off of it. And to parting out those figures is basically going to pay for a Dragon itself.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, like, I was on Offworld last night when I backed for my Dragon. Curtis was, there were some people that were saying like it's going to fund in 24 hours or something like that. That was probably a little bit optimistic.
I love that optimism, but I mean, that's a big chunk of money. Like it's
an investment.
It's entirely possible. I will say that I think the market's a little too soft right now for that to have happened. I think if this had launched 2 years ago, which would have been weird on the 8th anniversary of Mythic Legions to launch a Dragon, but I think if this had launched a couple years ago, it might have. But right now, I think it's a little tighter for a lot of people. So I think they're going to have to get their finances, dialed in before they can commit to this. But that's just reality. It doesn't make it bad or good, right? It's just that's where we're at right now. So there's a lot of people that are going to be selling off a few customs, a couple rare figures, like you just trying to pay it off now by sort of clearing out some bins and stuff like that, which totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, so my takeaway is this: back the Bay. You will never be sorry that you did. And if you already backed the Bay, get a second one.
Yes, sir.
I mean, tomorrow's when this and again, Brian Brink is in the chat too. He of the master of the charts for the crowdfunding campaigns. I saw him at Zolocon. And he said he was going to do a chart. I know he was mentioning before that, sort of the way the numbers are being reported presents a little bit of a challenge there. So he might have to get creative with the chart. That'll be interesting. Brian has sort of predicted something similar to the trajectory of the Cat's Lair, because it's being funded in a similar fashion. Cat's Lair had an early bird too, so that, you know, changes the scenario a little bit. I think the report, when we get the updated numbers tomorrow morning, will be very interesting. You know, it's not going to be another 500. I would be surprised if that's what it is, just because that first 12 hours is so many.
I think it could be. I genuinely think it could be, because I think there's probably a lot of people, you know, they get home from work maybe a little bit late. They just kind of like sit on the couch, hang out, whatever. You know, they might have woken up this morning to go on and back it. And that might have been, you know, after these numbers came through. So I think there's a very good chance that it could be at 1,000 by tomorrow morning.
If it is, I think we're in really good shape for all the stuff that we want here. And I think a real key here, because again, the Legions community it's a big community, but it's also not as big as sometimes it feels like to us. It's that crossover appeal. It's how many other people that are not hardcore Legions fans are going to buy, are going to go in. And there's some of that going on. Like, I'm looking at some of the YouTube channels I follow, like Unparalleled Universe was talking about the dragon to some of his followers. I saw Displaying Model Behavior did a whole video about it to his channel members. And, you know, these are people that don't focus on Legions at all. So, you know, you pick up 2 people here, 5 people there, like all of a sudden this stuff becomes bigger. Yes, TSJ wants us all to know. Shout out to Gina and TSJ, by the way. We both of us at Zolocon stayed in the outpost hotel that was in the complex but far away. So we kept seeing each other as we were walking back and forth to the other hotel. TSJ has guaranteed, so don't worry. Terrence says the Dragon is funding Tuesday, 3 p.m. Not 2:59, not 3:01, 3 p.m. So we're good. We're good.
Yes.
One more thing. Last thing on the Dragon. Don't worry about it. You know, you've got a wife, a husband, a partner that, you know, maybe they're not as much into your hobby as you are. And you think they might give you some static as far as dropping some coin on a big, beautiful dragon like this. Number one, when they look at the dragon and see what a beautiful art piece it is, they're not going to worry about it at all. But as a backup, Kevin Johnson, LW, has released this into the cabal. You can take this, show them this proof that you've won a dragon, and that's how it got there. So you're good.
This looks a little bit clip arty.
So it's funny. So as soon as like the numbers report came out, when Jeremy posted that earlier today, I was happy because it's something else to talk about. I'm all pumped up about it. You know, I would love more numbers to be coming out more often because I want to look at the progress. I want to see it. I want to talk about it. I could see it being a source of anxiety.
Yeah. Eric's triggered.
Yes. Eric says, I get way too emotionally invested in these types of campaigns. These charts make my anxiety spike big time. I could see that. Don't worry, buddy. If that happens, when the charts come out, the numbers come out tomorrow, listen to some 311. You'll be fine. It'll be cool. Don't worry about it.
You know what makes my anxiety spike is knowing Eric's going to repaint one of these beautiful things. Like, oh my God. I mean, not that it's going to be a bad thing. It's going to be
that's a good thing for you, because that means there's one less green dragon out on the market.
Yes. Paint them all you want, Eric. Paint them all.
I'll
have the original.
Just kidding, Eric. But I wonder what's Eric? Do you have a plan for the dragon, dude? Like, is he gonna make like a giant figment? Like, what's he gonna do with it?
That would be rad.
It's gonna be incredible, dude.
Yes.
I know that for sure. It's gonna be incredible.
Yep.
And then he's not gonna sell it.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, we can talk more dragon later on if you guys want, but we're going to continue talking about this dragon all month long. Again, it goes until April 6th. I can't, for anybody watching this, my take is that it is a beautiful, incredible art piece, a once in a lifetime piece of art, a piece of toy history, just something that, like, like once it gets in your home, you're going to be so happy that it's there. It's so incredible. If for some reason you couldn't keep it, if circumstances changed, you could sell it and make your money back plus hundreds of dollars. So back the Bay, baby. Back the Bay.
Back the Bay.
Don't forget to drop the hashtag back the Bay for your chance to win a $25 gift card later on. There we go. Next up, another crowdfund campaign that we get to talk about. Different scenario, though. Different kind of product, different kind of pieces, still very unique. I've been checking this out, man. It's the new Kickstarter, Space Zombies from Mars, and we're going to get into it. There's a couple of little things here that are different about this Kickstarter than most of what I've seen before, as far as the way the offerings are set up and some of the cool stuff going on. And Adam, first of all, thanks for joining us, man. I know a lot of people are excited to hear more about Space Zombies from Mars. I know you guys are going to be all over the place. That's already started.
We're trying,
as far as getting the word out, man. I think that's a real good move. But can you just take us back to the starting line here? What's the genesis of this new line, the Space Zombies from Mars?
Yeah, absolutely. So Space Zombies from Mars is sort of the passion project of Arlen Pelche. So he's the sculptor. He's worked for Marvel. He's worked for Mezco. He's done. He used to do a bunch of MAFC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably got a lot of pieces in customizers collections as well. But he's been sculpting in the industry for over a decade, and this was sort of his project. He had sort of an idea, a concept that he wanted to do. But ultimately didn't know what to do with it. So that's kind of where I came in. He and his brother have done he did all the sculpting, but then the lore and the music that goes with it were him and his brother Ira. And then I'm kind of the guy that knows how to do this part of it and do the Kickstarter part of it and the logistics part of it. So that's where sort of I came in. I met them in person at Joe Fest last year for the first time, and we've been working on getting it ready for launch for the last few months here. Launched March 1st, runs until March 31st. Cards will be charged on April the 1st. So the opposite of the Dragon. Your card doesn't get charged until the end of the campaign, assuming that we fund. So there's no risk right now if you want to dip your toe in and sort of see if we can get this thing funded. You're not on the hook for it until April 1st. So
yeah. So Adam, you've been a part of some Kickstarters before. I knew you had some involvement with Spiro. Just what kind of other campaigns have you worked on? Some of your favorites or most memorable?
Yeah, the one that I was sort of most directly involved with was the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Primal Series 2, which was the Spiro Toys Kickstarter that was last year. But then I've just talked with people that have done Kickstarters. I don't want to take any credit away from anybody that's had amazing projects and stuff.
You did it all. You were the man behind it.
I've talked with a lot of people about a lot of projects and sort of like what worked, what didn't work, and just use my personal experience. And I think, I think I kind of did things a little bit different, and I hope that it kind of made a little bit more sense than some campaigns sort of do. Just in the way that it was formatted, in the way that we sort of presented stretch goals, things like that. But there's no perfect equation. I wish there was. I wish it was like, here's the recipe. You do all these things and it's going to be a success, and you just sit back and relax. But there's still a hustle. Like you still gotta be out there, every day, kind of sharing information and answering questions and posting new information and new stuff. So it's thank you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to kind of jump on here and talk about it a little bit, because I think this is a line that kind of appeals to different collectors. I know that you guys are primarily Mythic Legions, but I know that you guys also collect some other stuff. So it was cool to get the opportunity to kind of reach out to this audience. So
You got it, man.
We're toy collectors, man. We're toy
Yeah.
collectors.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Not
thing,
just-
right?
yeah.
We don't
If you're
discriminate.
collecting Mythic
Yeah.
Legions, like you didn't come out of this from nowhere. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like you stumbled upon a night one day and you're like, oh, what are these toys? Like,
Yeah, exactly. We know what we're doing here.
yeah.
And you mentioned that we're about to, if it's cool with you, start taking a look at some of the pieces here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, I might not, if there's a specific order, I might have the order not quite.
It's all good.
But I mean, number one thing that jumped out at me, Terrence said it earlier, he loves zombies and sci-fi. So do I. The first time I started taking a look at these characters that you guys have coming out, these guys will go with G.I. Joe Classified, Monster Force. They would go with Fantastic. So let's start looking at some of these pieces, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Monster Force, these things will work great
Yes.
with those.
They even, believe it or not, before we get too far, like when you put the astronaut next to a cosmic figure, they don't look out of place. So my kind of pitch to the cosmic guys is like, imagine there's like a wormhole that sort of leads to Cosmeria. And so this is maybe how you get some human astronauts kind of into your cosmic stuff too. But
I could easily see that happening. No doubt about it. Yep.
It's perfect because one thing that Cosmic has been mostly like, I guess they're not aliens if they're on their home planet, but like alien type creatures, big creatures, all kinds of different sizes, and not like human characters. But when you're space adventures, a space display, you would have some astronauts in there too. So that's pretty cool. So
absolutely.
Spike Spectre. So when it says retro, what does that mean?
So most of the campaign is sort of set around a particular mission to Mars, which is Red Dust 2. Spike Spectre was the leader of the original Red Dust mission. So Red Dust 1, it wasn't called 1 at the time because that would be weird and redundant to call it 1 for the first mission. But so he was the commander of that first mission. They left, our version of Earth in like the 60s. So it's got a really pulpy sci-fi feel to it with the fishbowl helmet and more of like a jetpack kind of a backpack there, and that kind of Mars Attacks, space laser pistol on the side there.
Love it.
So this is sort of he's called retro because it's sort of from the first mission. It's got that sort of throwback feel to it.
I love the bubble helmet, man.
Yeah, dude, the fishbowl helmet, definitely. It's so awesome. I love it.
So the pieces that are blacked out here, is that something that's still being designed, or are they unlock type pieces? What's the deal there?
Yeah, all totally done as far as design, as far as sculpt. That sort of, I can segue into like all the files for all of these figures, all the accessories and all that kind of stuff is done. We are ready to send these files to the factory. Like the engineering of the articulation and everything like that is also done. What's shadowed out there is effectively stretch goals. So what you kind of see in color there is what is on offer for these figures, when the figures are available. But with the stretch goals, we've got 2 stretch goals that offer pack-ins. So there's an extra hands pack-in and then what we're calling the zombie parts pack-in. So the other 3 items there that are shadowed will be unlocked as a stretch goal. And that will be free of charge to anybody that's sort of backed whatever figure. This is just additional stuff that'll get packed in. A little bit like how the figures with the dragon get more stuff the more funding the 4 Horsemen gets. So I assume they're probably taking a page out of our book, but
clearly. All right. Another astronaut, Dr. Michael Locke, a medic here.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the astronauts. I just really love that classic white astronaut look. He's the medical doctor. I will point out here that with all of the astronauts, you get an alternate head, and with 3 of the 4 main astronauts, if it's a male character, you also get a female alternate head. If it's a female character, you get a male alternate head.
Cool.
So
nice,
giving people some variety there, and for people that kind of complain about like, oh, there's not enough, female action figures. We were very mindful of that, and we wanted to make sure that right from the jump, we gave people the opportunity to have more diversity in their astronaut collection.
Love the color choices for the spacesuit, man. Looks fantastic.
And what's the little the book that comes with him there?
It's just that it's a book. So he's an avid reader, both of like, medical stuff and science stuff and fiction. So this is just one of his little books. All the characters come with accessories that are specific to their character, like in the lore. So he comes with his book as his like personal accessory, but then because he's a medical doctor, he has admittedly a pretty exaggerated bone saw there. But you'll sort of see that each of the characters has an accessory that's unique to them and an accessory that's sort of unique to their profession, if you want to call it that, or their sort of division, their faction within the mission.
And then the pricing on these, am I right that, and we'll take a look at the Kickstarter page once we go through all the figures, but it's sort of, am I right that the base price for a base figure starts at 36 and kind of goes up from there? Is there a range there?
The astronauts are about $40 US. And the zombies, which are a little bit more basic, are $25.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow. Even better.
You might have looked at the Canadian pricing, which I'll touch on, when we get there too. Georgia McBride. So there you go. She's an engineer. So she comes with a drill as her sort of functional accessory.
Yeah, dude, I love this.
And then as a huge music fan, she comes with a 6-inch scale ukulele. Arlen's job before he was a sculptor of action figures, he actually taught people how to make guitars and like stringed instruments. So this is a 100% accurate, the frets are spaced correctly, the strings are spaced correctly apart. So you're never going to get a more in scale accurate ukulele than what you're getting right here.
Awesome. I could totally see this one hanging out with Walter the Mad Cosmic.
Yeah,
totally.
No-brainer.
Yep, no brainer on this one. This is a cool one for sure.
Sweet. And then Guy Garrison going the full military look. Maybe he mixes in with like some Valiverse characters, right? And he's got
absolutely.
Classified files.
So he's the mission commander for Red Dust 2. Spike Spectre was his hero and his mentor. His classified files there might have something to do with his sort of secondary mission on this trip to sort of figure out what happened to Spike Spectre and what happened to the first mission. But yeah, he gets two kind of sci-fi kind of space. We're kind of calling it like not the aliens pulse rifle. Just a cool one. I think for a lot of people, like you said, that are doing, classified or action force or even monster force, the military one might be a sort of an easy one to get into.
Space Marines, baby. It's all good.
And here we go, starting to get into some of the zombie characters here. We have the Red Walker.
Yeah, the Red Walker is just sort of the term for all the zombies. And it's kind of, you can kind of read it two ways. They're the Red Walkers because they're formerly astronauts from the Red Dust mission, but they're also zombies from Mars, which is the red planet. So
I love the broken out
face. Just smashed out.
So cool. Yeah. So cool.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's there's even a little bit more detail to it that you can't necessarily see just with that front on. Like there's actually kind of cracks that go back.
Yeah, you can see it on a little bit on the side. Yeah, yeah, it's so cool.
It looks I have one.
Yeah, great detail, great feature to add to that. Oh,
you can actually see
so good.
Yes, dude.
Yeah,
in the right light, you can kind of see the cracks and stuff like that.
Great choice to put that instead of just like the full face shield. That's so cool. That's so cool.
And this actually, the way that it works, here, I'll show you with the other one because I've taken it apart a few times just for reference. The helmet's actually two pieces. So the shield is part of the top piece, and then it splits in two. So you'll pop the head off and then pop that on, pop the head on, and then the second piece goes on. And the shield will actually flip up and down.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love like the thought that goes into details like that because when I look at like the broken out helmet, stuff like that, right away I'm thinking of like what could people do with like photography as far as setting up a scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, a lot of this comes from, a lot of the inspiration is like just sort of from the zeitgeist of science fiction. Like this kind of right here, this one, the medical red walker,
Mhm.
is roughly Arlen's, you know, initial inspiration, like a skeleton head within a cracked astronaut suit, just sort of floating in space,
Mm-hmm.
and then just sort of expanding from there to sort of come up with the rest of the line. So people keep asking like, oh, what's, you know, is this from this, or did you watch this movie and was that, and it's kind of all of the things, you know, it's all the stuff that we've gotten, you know, from astronauts, from zombies, from, you know, ideas of what Mars was and, you know, what it isn't, and all that kind of stuff over the last 30 or 40 years has kind of informed this project. So it's yeah, it's meant to be just fun, and, you know, hopefully people can kind of like get into it and pick one or two figures that they like, or, you know, be all in and get all of them.
There you go.
I have a question, and I know
Yeah.
it's probably something that, because I mean, like I said, there are the articulated elitists out there.
Mhm.
How are the articulation points, especially in like the waist and stuff?
Yeah, good question. We're gonna put out like an exploded view of the articulation in the Kickstarter, and it'll be in an update as well,
Mm-hmm.
because a couple people have asked us. So this is gonna have all the articulation that, if you're sort of an articulation junkie, it's gonna have all of it. So double jointed knees and elbows, pinless, rocker ankle with the pivot as well,
Nice.
boot cut, thigh cut, bicep cut, butterfly joints for the shoulders. The head and neck are separate from the torso, so you get plenty of articulation, you know,
Nice.
for the neck and for the head. The torso itself or sorry, like the core is three
Mhm.
pieces. So you get the upper, you get the core, and then you get the lower, and they're on ball joints as well. So you're
Oh,
going to be
cool.
able to get great, you know, it'll bend forward really well, it'll bend back really well. And Arlen was very, very particular about how he designed the secondary that sort of fits over top of the base buck, where the secondary does not impede that crunch at all. Like
Nice.
you somebody said, well, they're astronauts, they probably shouldn't be able to move very well. And Arlen said, well, you don't have to pose them that way. You can have them be really static if you want, but if
Yeah.
you
God.
want to
God. For,
pose them
God.
up, you have the
But
opportunity to do that.
God forbid you can't get your astronaut into a Spidey pose, right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna
yeah.
be pretty darn close, to be perfectly
but
honest.
but you got to think, if they're zombies, they're going to be contorting in like odd ways and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And
That's
that's
kind of
exactly
perfect.
kind
it.
of what I was thinking. Yeah, I
That's
mean, if you wanted to
exactly it.
have them
So
in like a weird like pose or something,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
the
the
astronauts, you
butterfly
might not
joints is awesome
necessarily
to
need
know.
them to pose up a particular way, but the zombies, you want them kind of busted and crooked and like kind
Mm-hmm.
of janky and like,
Yeah,
so yeah, you'll be able to hit all those zombie poses.
nice.
Articulation too in the wrists. You know, the trigger hands are vertical articulation, and then the C grip hands are going to be horizontal. So like everything was considered, and everything was sort of planned out based on everything that you hear about, like people kind of criticizing action figures, which isn't to say that these are going to be perfect and they're not going to be, you know, there's not going to be somebody out there that complains about them, but we're trying to do everything that we possibly can to check all the boxes for people.
Yeah, I'm gonna
How
act as your
about
agent here. These figures actually, despite what Adam just said, and even though it's he's the one working on the Kickstarter, I can speak for Adam here. The figures will be perfect, and if you get them and you don't like them, it just means that you're a cotton-headed ninny muggins. And
Well, yeah.
how about parts swappability? Can these be taken apart and you know, kind of swapped out as far as parts are concerned?
Yeah, that's another very good question. And again, something we went through this whole process and didn't even think of this, but they are designed to pop apart pretty easily. They're designed, you see where the red bands are on the
Mm-hmm.
bicep and on the
Mm-hmm.
thigh? That's
Mhm.
basically a connection point where all the limbs, whether they're the astronaut ones. So if you look at this red walker here, you've got sort of a full astronaut arm and then a zombie arm.
Mm-hmm.
Across the line, you get sort of the opportunity to have all of the four limbs in a zombie format, or
Mm-hmm.
all the limbs in an astronaut format. So if you buy multiples, you can just sort of pop and swap them
Very
to
nice.
sort of like oh, I want, I want this, but I want, just a zombie hand. Well, you can sort of swap the astronaut hands and legs on here
Heck yeah,
to sort
that's
of allow
awesome.
for that. If you go, if you don't mind just going back to one of the astronauts,
Yep.
just because, so you can see right there or right there, in that one, you can see what may or may not be an arm that will get unlocked. And the reason for that is because this can pop onto the figure, or it can pop onto your zombie. So if you actually look at the orange zombie comes with the other 3 zombie limbs. And so if you wanted all 4, you'd kind of source it from there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here, let's not. All right.
Very cool.
So there's the leg. So if you
Yeah.
look at the you've got the left leg with Guy Garrison, and then on the green zombie, he's got an astronaut leg for that one. So you can kind of pick and choose which limbs. The reason for that, like the idea there, is that if you want to have a zombie horde, you're not going to want them to all look the same, right? So you're gonna want to have like 2, 3, 4 limbs that are zombie parts. That's also why you're getting alternate heads, for that exact same reason, to give you opportunity to kind of build out a horde that isn't like a cookie cutter, like every one of my zombies looks exactly the same. You're going to have the opportunity, without being a customizer, to sort of customize your horde or your astronauts, because you're getting the alternate heads. You can have a whole bunch of different astronauts and sort of pick and choose, and the alternate heads don't have names, so you can kind of name your own characters and go from there.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then sort of the same kind of setup here with the different sort of like the corollaries to each one of the astronauts, it looks like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look at this helmet.
Yeah.
So that's
busted out, huh?
So
and because that fits, because the sort of harness, the secondary piece is a circle. What you'll be able to do if you get multiples of this, you can actually rotate that, so you'll get like different angles that you're looking at the broken glass, so it won't look like all those are the same.
Nice.
Sweet. We got the blue guy here, same setup here with the broken out helmet. And then here's the blue astronaut here.
Yeah.
This one it seems like it comes with a ton of stuff. There's a lot of great accessories here. We have, what's that next to the camera?
That's some Mars rocks, some red rocks. So she's the leader of the science division. She's just, she's into collecting rocks. She's got the camera to sort of document the rocks and to sort of document what she finds on Mars. Those sort of arms with the pincher thing. The claws will be articulated, and then the arm will be articulated. So all the circles are a joint. So you'll be able to sort of bend them. And those will port in anywhere that has the port that we're using. So I think there's 7 ports on the backpack, at least 2 ports on the figure. So there's a whole bunch of different configurations you can do. So again, it's sort of like there's this modularity, and the claws that are on there actually pop off. And if you look at if you look at the medical guy that has the saw piece will pop off, and you could put the claw on there, or pop that saw piece off and put it on the arm. And the same is true of the drill that comes with the engineer. So there's pop and swap options. There's sort of customizability. You can kind of like mix and match what works best for what you want to do with your toys, right? They're just gonna be a lot of fun to play with and kind of mess around with.
Heck yeah.
So I had a question. I'm seeing like all the blacked out parts, and maybe you can't say it, but are they going to be like gore pieces, like potentially bloody stuff?
I can't say that.
Damn it.
But what I will say is, if you've seen, posts of, the table where Space Zombies of Mars has had samples and things like that, what I've been saying is, like, we're not trying to hide this. We're just trying to get people to like talk about it and like speculate and like guess. I will show. So if you go, can you go to the green astronaut?
Yep. Sorry.
And maybe this will, you can sort of speculate. So the head next to that masked head is this one here.
Oh, snap. Exclusive.
Oh, dude.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So you're gonna get
Yes.
man, my nails are dirty. So you're gonna get like alternate. Well, at least in this case, it may be true of the other astronauts. You're gonna get alternate head sculpts for those main characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And then
I love the zombie eyes, dude. That's so cool.
Get a chunk out of his head.
Yeah.
and then I'll give you one. I'll give you one because you asked so nicely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
Oh, nice.
gnarly.
Yes.
That's an alternate neck piece
Nice.
with
Dude.
the head
So
conveniently
good.
removed.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, that might give you an idea of like what some of those shadowed parts might be.
Yeah. That's
badass,
awesome.
dude.
That's awesome.
And I've been saying, like, for me personally, like what's shadowed there is the really fun stuff because it adds like it adds a layer that's like super fun in a toy way, but it's also like super fun in like a satirical way almost because it's like, you know, if you're gonna do zombies, it's kind of like a B movie thing, and it's kind of like gore guts, and you need that stuff, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
that
awesome.
might be true, Brian. I mean, I've been messing around with these zombies so much. Maybe it's just starting to just seep into me.
Dude, I think with that that little exclusive SDL exclusive reveal of the neck with the blood, you might have just sold some figures there, my friend.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
mean, you know, all the astronauts have shadowed stuff, right? So,
Well,
so that's you know, that's where we're at. I've
I'm
also
taking a-
said that
taking a
before the
closer look
campaign
here.
ends, we're gonna show it. Even if we don't unlock everything, we'll show everything. So
Look
you
at
know,
some of this
we're
stuff.
only about a week in, and so we're still kind of having fun, like revealing like one thing at a time and just kind of getting there slowly.
I love the sci-fi ray gun, dude. It's so cool. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
That
yeah.
one I really, really like.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back through and so I can look at like take a closer look at some of the
Trying to
ground
figure out
stuff.
what everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, so the one there below those two heads, that
Yeah.
one has been on tables.
Okay.
So if you go and look for like space zombies from Mars, like pictures that other people have posted and stuff like that, it's out there. You'll be able to. What I will also say is that most of the sort of you know, if there's gore gut stuff, well, we're out. You know, I showed you that one already. You know, when you see the gore gut stuff,
Yeah.
it's gonna relate to the character.
Huh. Okay.
Nice.
I showed you the one that kind of is the least connected, but you know, he's got firearms. I mean, we're calling them energy weapons, right? They're like
Right.
laser guns. But you know, she's got a drill. You know, another guy's got a saw. Another guy's
Ah. Oh, I see it.
another guy's got like pincher claws. Like,
Yes.
so you kind of, that's the one I showed you right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. It didn't even click the first time when I was looking at them.
Yeah.
It's been super fun for me because like I mapped this all out and I've seen everything. It's
Mhm.
been fun for me to just like watch people guess and
Oh, we have a
and in
request
some
here?
cases guess like totally wrong. Because that's I've already seen this stuff. So like my fun is like watching people guess and try to figure it out and think that they get it, but like, you know, they're not. Anyway,
Pew pew.
sorry, what was? Oh, I did. Yeah, make a
Oh, the-
noise. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, Steph did it for you.
You know what? I think for me, like, I
You
think
know-
for me, like, just growing up as like a GI Joe kid, I think that's for me, that's like a laser gun noise.
Mm-hmm.
When I
But
hear
you-
it in my head, it's the GI Joe noise.
You're also doing glow in the dark, and this is a Kickstarter exclusive, right?
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that's
so
you.
this is a Kickstarter exclusive glow in the dark of the retro looked zombie. So it's got that slightly different secondary piece. It's got sort of the jetpack. It's got the smashed fishbowl. The plan with this one, and you know, I've been using different examples, but for this audience, I think the best example is Hagnon. So we want this to be sort of an opaque, semi-translucent figure, that is glow in the dark with sort of those zombie sort of features painted over top. I am obsessed with translucent and glow in the dark. I don't think it's a gimmick. I think it's just a cool feature for toys.
Hey, someone else we know is that way too.
Right there.
And these are toys, so they're supposed to be fun. So like glow in the dark's a lock. We've already sort of like discussed that with our project manager, who's Chris Garwich. And so we know that the factory that Chris deals with can make, you know, translucent glow in the dark stuff. So we're going to try very hard to make this a translucent glow in the dark Kickstarter exclusive zombie. And when we say Kickstarter exclusive, you know, your best chance to get it is during the Kickstarter. And then after that, we're going to hold on to any extra pieces that we have. So whether we're selling those at conventions or doing them as giveaways or what have you, it'll always go through us. So we are not going to be releasing these to any retailers or anything like that. Like we, you know, have that old school mentality that an exclusive should be exclusive.
Word.
And if you miss it, you miss it. And, you know, we're giving you the chance to get it right now. So if you want one, you know,
so don't miss it.
Yeah, don't miss it.
Good point from Steph here. A little thriller vibes here with the black
a little
red
bit
here. I'm digging it.
Yeah, with the suit.
And then the head pack here, the gruesome head pack.
Yeah. So this head pack is the last stretch goal. This is like the last thing that we sort of added in right at the end. And these are 5 heads that nobody's seen yet. They don't come with any of the figures. They don't come as any of the extra pack-in heads. These are 5 unique heads that you will only get in the head pack if we reach that funding goal. So we will reveal these when we get closer, but for now, these are, you know, our best kept secret.
Cutoff is March 31, right, Adam?
The cutoff for the end of the Kickstarter is March 31st. That is correct. Yeah.
There you go. March 31st. And then this is really interesting. So in addition to those dope figures and some of the cool little elements we just talked about here, you've got what amounts to a soundtrack here, right? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So Ira and Arlen are very musically inclined. They've been in bands together a bunch of times when they were younger. They hadn't been in a band in a long, long time. So they decided to get together and start a band. That band is Prometheus, which is why, you know, that's on the record there. And then when they got together to sort of sit down and decide, you know, what kind of music they were going to play and sort of what they were going to do, there was sort of a couple things. Ira broke his wrist, so he couldn't play as much guitar as he had planned to play. And Arlen had an idea for some toys that he wanted to make. And so in their first sort of session, if you want to call that, of Prometheus, Arlen had also gotten a puppy and it fell asleep on Ira's chest. And so they were like, well, we can't play. We'll just chat about what we want to do. And that's when the idea came about that, like, well, why don't we do a soundtrack, like in like a true soundtrack, not like tracks that sort of go with, but like original score. Like it's almost all instrumental. And so this is kind of like the soundtrack or the score to the story. So it's like the score for an unmade movie that goes along with the Space Zombies from Mars. And it's a lot of fun. It's not, you know, like radio hits. It very much is like, you know, the emotional state that the characters are in through the course of the story. You know, there's some super, super anxious moments within the soundtrack. There's some poppier stuff, you know, there's some faster stuff, some slower stuff. And then there's even a country music song. So there's kind of something for everybody on the soundtrack. It's going to be a limited release colored vinyl for the Kickstarter. Anybody that backs the record during the Kickstarter will get colored vinyl. The final color for the LP will be finalized in a poll that we will do after the Kickstarter campaign ends. So we'll give backers probably 4 options for what color they want the vinyl to be, and we'll allow people to vote on that. You know,
I think
just
I
to
know
give.
what the winner's going to be.
What's that?
I think I know what the winner's going to be.
I don't know. I mean, we got we got some pretty good ideas. Baby. Hey, you know, if you want us to be purple, you got to back the campaign so that, you know, your vote gets counted.
That's no problem.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're doing purple final. That's awesome." And Arlen was like, "Well, that's just how I rendered it. We didn't really think about the reaction to the purple at first."
Oh, he thought about it.
Yeah.
Well, he had to choose something, right? So
Yeah.
he chose purple for an obvious reason. Purple is gonna be one of the options in the vote. As of right now, two other options that we kind of have locked in are like a translucent to match the zombie flesh, and then like a
That's cool.
Mars red.
That's cool, man. That's
$4.99
definitely cool.
super chat from Kevin M. Boots. Afternoon SDL crew. I have one response to you. Boots! What's up, brother? Well, that's freaking cool, man. That was one of the things that really jumped out at me. I'm like, they're doing like a vinyl soundtrack for it. I'm like, that's cool as hell.
That was one of the things that jumped out to me too when I met them and we first started talking about this. I was like, that's super cool because I actually, I always kind of think of like soundscapes when I'm playing with my toys. So for all my Animal Warriors of the Kingdom stuff, like I think about like, well, what would this tribe listen to? When I'm playing with Mythic Legions, like I'll pull up one of those like YouTube videos that's like medieval music for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get you in that mind frame. So yeah, it's just really, really cool that we have that. And then a 32-page comic book, which has already been like scripted out and kind of like mapped out. Arlen's already done a bunch of pages. And we're gonna go one of two ways. Either Arlen's gonna do the rest of the pages, or we'll bring on another artist to do the pages that Arlen hasn't. Arlen's done the pages that are, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically like within the comic book, there's a magazine, and the magazine talks about the mission and talks about the astronauts and stuff like that. And Arlen's already done those pages. So for the sequential action sort of between, we might bring in another artist or Arlen might do it. What you see there is actually a page, one of the first pages of the comic book, and Modern Times is like the Time magazine in our universe. And the astronauts on the front there are the 4 main astronauts from the Kickstarter. So the sort of 4 main astronauts from the mission. And so it's within this magazine that you get sort of bios and interviews with all of the characters, which will be included in the comic book. So you'll get like, deep lore right away with sort of what's going on here. So super, super cool. And like, I'm just I'll be honest, I'm pretty flattered that they wanted me to be a part of it, because I didn't do any of the cool stuff. I'm doing the business end of stuff, and I just get to like talk about it and gush about it. And like, I couldn't be more excited to get these figures in hand.
Dude, you're
so it's just it's just really, really cool to get to be a part of this.
You're here right now, man. You're giving us a freaking great rundown on this. And here's
I know. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll tell you one more thing though. Not that anybody asked, but I ask them more lore questions, and a lot of times they're like, "Nah, we're not telling you. You gotta wait." And I'm like, I've read the comic book, so I'm asking like specific, like, wait. Like, I've read things about like the zombies and like where they come from and like the origin story, and I'm like, does that mean that this? And they're like, we're not telling you. I'm like, ah.
So for the comic book, is it just going to be like a one shot, or do they have plans to do like other issues or something like that?
So that's still up in the air.
Okay.
We're doing the 32-page one that'll go with the Kickstarter. That's kind of like locked in. The plan that we've kind of thrown around is it like for additional waves might get additional comic books.
Gotcha.
Especially if the additional waves kind of expand on the story, so that like, so this takes place on Mars. But if we were to go back, to Earth, or we did a wave that was more of the Red Dust 1 mission, there might be a comic book that would go with that to kind of like fill out, more of that lore. I would love to see, more comic books, but that remains to be seen.
Awesome.
So here's the Kickstarter page here, the rewards page, and it does show up as in the Canadian pricing, but right underneath there's an estimate, I guess, for US dollar. And Amanda in the chat was saying there is an option to kind of, that's what I was just looking for, to change it back.
It was probably Amanda, my wife. I don't know what she said. I didn't see what she said.
Well, that there's an option to switch it to to the U.S. currency under attention, and I apologize because I don't know where that is.
Oh yeah, no. So if you're on the main page of the Kickstarter,
Mhm.
you can scroll all the way to the very bottom, and then it gives you the option to change things to US dollars. So a lot of times people, yours is already done. Yours is already done. So you're looking at the numbers in US dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got a $118,000 goal and some change, 27,000 already in the door, but you got most of the month left. 23 days to go. 218 backers.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy. I mean, like the numbers. I've said this before. Like just because of who I am, I would have loved to like wake up the day after we launched and for this to be like funded, and it would make my anxiety go down. But the numbers are good, and like we're happy that they keep going up. We keep getting to have opportunities like this show, and we get to sort of get more eyes on the project, and talk about it more and answer more questions and stuff like that. So yeah, we're feeling really good about it, and I think the offering is really strong, and I think the price points are really good and very much in line with other lines that a lot of people are collecting. So yeah, just excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, when you're talking about as far as the kind of stuff that you're getting and the thought that kind of sort of went into it, like the zombies, standard zombie $26, standard astronaut 40, the exclusive zombie I think is what 31, so a little bit more.
$30.
But
It was. So the Canadian dollar thing, we're in, like all three of us are in Canada, and Kickstarter, if you set up your Kickstarter in Canada, you have to run it in Canadian dollars. But all of our funding goals before we sort of plugged everything in was based on, the bills that we have to pay, which are all in US dollars. So we kind of mapped everything out, like including the price for the figures, including like the stretch goals and all that kind of stuff in US dollars. And then we couldn't use that. So we had to convert it, which is why it's all kind of like the numbers look kind of weird when you're looking in US dollars like that. The zombies are supposed to be $25, but like just with the conversion rate, they're like 26.
Yeah.
And then the zombie was supposed to be $30, but it's 31 because of the conversion. The reality is that like on April 1st, it might be $30.
Yeah.
Like they kind of go up and down. So it's an approximation. But I think I think the pricing is pretty good, pretty competitive, especially if we unlock everything. Like the astronaut for $40 with like all that stuff, I think is like a pretty good bang for your buck. But yeah.
The astronauts are loaded with all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And $26 for the zombies is a great deal. So listen, you have until March 31st, guys, and no reason to wait. You can back Space Zombies from Mars right now. You won't get charged. Get those numbers up, get the hype going. Listen, man, thanks so much for dropping by. You really gave us a really great rundown of all those figures, man.
I'm working through it. Like I'm every time I do one of these, like I get a little bit better and I get a little bit quicker and I get a little bit sharper on it. One more thing that I'll mention is, if you're looking at an astronaut or a zombie or something that's a stretch goal, don't wait until it unlocks. If you're thinking about, say you want the orange astronaut, pledge for one of the other astronauts. When they unlock, you just jump in there on the back end and change your pledge to that one. It just gets unlocked that much faster if you jump in now. If you wait and everybody else waits and we run out of time, then none of this gets made and nothing gets unlocked. So
plus help Adam out, okay? Make sure we're here not just for the toys, we're here for the people too. We want to make sure Adam's household isn't, everything's cool, everything's copacetic.
Yeah, I'm not losing sleep, but I'm not sleeping very well. That's just who I am.
Shout out to the supportive wives.
Absolutely. 100%. Shout out to my wife who's been like super accommodating and sort of allowing me to
the
do
cabal
these.
horns for Amanda right now, please.
Yeah, like a video feels like I do a video like every day. So like I get home and then I just jump straight into my office and she kind of gets home like 10 minutes after me and the kids are just breaking stuff out in the living room and just doing whatever. She's gotta feed them and get them ready for bed and do all that stuff. And then I come out and I'm like, what happened? Anything? Like So she's been amazing, and it's been awesome to have her support. So
Killer, man. I can hear my kids upstairs, but that's the rule, right? If you can hear them, it's fine.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Quiet, you need to work.
When it's quiet, that's you. There's something going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dude, I know. Listen, you're gonna be, out there getting the word out about the Space Zombies here. So, what's next on the docket? The people, where can they be looking for you on the interwebs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a Facebook page that we launched way too late. Like I think I just launched it a couple days ago. We've got an Instagram. So it's the Nameless Toy Company on both of those, or TNT Co. I think on Instagram. You can find it that way as well. The Kickstarter is, of course, at Kickstarter. I think it's kickstarter.com/Space Zombies for Mars, or you just go to Kickstarter and punch it in there in the little search bar. We are doing a ton of videos. I put the list that is ever evolving and sort of always changing in an update on the Kickstarter. I'll try to post that, if not today, maybe tomorrow, on an Instagram post as well. So depending on sort of where people get their information, they'll have access to that. But we're recording a video tomorrow. I don't know when that one goes out. That's a pre-recorded one. But on my channel, Highly Articulated, I'll probably be talking about zombies again tomorrow. We got 2 videos on Monday. We got a video on Tuesday, I think, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like we got tons of videos. We're trying to talk to as many people as we possibly can, and anybody that reaches out and says, hey, do you want to jump on our channel? If we're not already doing a video at the exact time, we're open to do that. So if you got a channel and we're not booked, reach out. We'll happily chat with you guys as well. So,
listen, man, we love having you on anyway. Back to AWOC last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Space Zombies this year, brother. Like, you're welcome anytime. We'll be following you the whole time. And hey,
appreciate
baby,
it.
In the Legion's family, Chris is project managing it too. So good luck, man. Everybody, back Space Zombies from Mars. We plug in that bad one too, baby.
Yep.
Yes,
absolutely.
Please.
Hit her, pat her. Let's get at her.
That's what I'm talking about. You Rygon. All right. I think we're almost about ready to get out of here, though. It's been a fun show, guys. But first, we do need to give away a $25 gift card. So this is your last chance. Again, you're on your honor. If you win, the $25 gift card was meant to defray the cost of the dragon, or if you've already backed the dragon, thumbs up, Cabal horns. Use it for an accessory set. But the hashtag again is #BackTheBay. Let's pull up the giveaway tool page right here. And we got 32 entries. We had 41 people in the chat right now. #BackTheBay. This is your last chance to get yourself the $25 gift card, because we're going to run it.
I don't know if my wife would have entered or not, but if she does, I guess that's justification that I'm allowed to buy the dragon.
That's
100%.
Yes.
I don't think there's no question. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer by trade. That goes in court. There you go. Listen, how can you not listen? We
I don't know what
support
that's
each other.
even reference to.
We all the crowdfunding campaigns, we all support each other. A rising tide lifts all ships.
Absolutely. Baby. Absolutely. I mean, that's a point that I've kind of made too, is that like I got into toys because of like Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified, but I find myself really like not buying much of that stuff anymore. Now I'm buying, apes and dragons and astronauts and like just cool independent stuff that's just like kind of more fun,
I am 100% into independent toy makers. You get to direct contact with the people behind it, the artists, all the people that make it happen. So I'm totally into it, baby. So let's help make it happen. We'll give away the gift card in 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Good luck. Here we go. Who's going to win it? It's going to be Amanda. Brian Free. Perfect.
Congrats.
Good job. Congrats, Brian.
Czar of the charts. The chart czar.
Yeah.
Congrats, brother. Reach out to me. I think all I need is your email address, and we can send you the $25 gift card, my friend. So awesome.
Heck yeah.
So that's it. We are done. That's a Saturday day live. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. Thank you, Adam, for hanging out with us, man. Can't wait to follow Space Zombies from Mars all the way through in a successful campaign, which I am predicting right now. And I will back as well. And again, don't forget, also at the same time, we have Beathir the Dragon, the most beautiful, gorgeous action figure related item that's ever been released. Be a part of toy history and back the Bay, back the Dragon, guys. Don't forget to hit like on this live stream right here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and follow all my boys. Ryan at Toy Goof and Gons on Instagram. Late Night LeBron at Late Night LeBron on Instagram. Adam, you are at, it's not at Highly Articulated. Is it on Instagram?
I think it's highly _articulated, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're on Instagram and hold on, where'd it go?
Yep,
you're on Instagram and you see that, you're in the right place. If you see
that,
if you see that cat, that's
Highly _articulated. There you go, on Instagram too. Again, thanks again. We love all of you. Thanks for hanging out the rest of the day. You know you got Purple Gang at 9:00 tonight for some shenanigans.
We're going to be on their show on the 22nd.
Nice.
Dude, have fun. That I'm sure you'll have a blast there.
I don't think you have the choice.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, listen, after that show, there might be a special purple vinyl. Like, they can be very persuasive. I'm just saying.
You know what? If there's enough Purple Gang people back in the Kickstarter, I mean, there might be a landslide, in the polls.
I promise. That's up to Ryan. Ryan's World might return next week. But until next time, don't forget the #1 rule, which is
be cool.
Later.
So I'll see you guys in November.